Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea drinking author, who's got a delightful cup of ginger and lemon tea from Twinings. And for those who are interested, I've figured out at last that having this microphone and its stand clipped to my desk here meant I could never reach my cup of tea. Now I've moved it over here, all of a sudden I've got all this free space and my desktop where I can grab a cup of tea and have a slurp halfway through talking, which probably isn't what you want to hear. Now, why am I drinking this tea? It's because I've been told that I'm a little bit anemic, and that anemia could be partly due to the fact that I routinely would have a pint of tea with my breakfast and then progressively through the day have a bunch of other cups of tea. And apparently it's not necessarily good for you. Who could have told that? And this video is partly the result of that. Because I was seeing the doctor at the time owing to a diagnosis of diabetes. Now, this is one of those odd little illnesses that people are prey to nowadays. But I thought that my own journey with diabetes, I hate using that term journey, but I can't think of a better way of putting it. I thought it would be worthwhile for a lot of people to know how I discovered I had diabetes, because like quite a few people, I had absolutely no symptoms whatsoever. And then what the potential impacts are and how you can possibly deal with them, because I was diagnosed January of last year, which was January 2022, with type 2 diabetes, and I was diagnosed with an exceptionally high level of blood glucose, which is not good for you. And as of last week, by carefully looking at what I was eating, I've managed to now come off the 4 pills I was on daily. And I'm now down to 0. In effect, my blood glucose level is now that of an ordinary person. I am no longer diabetic, theoretically. So I thought it was probably worthwhile sharing my experience for the great majority of people who haven't got the faintest idea what this all involves. So, this, folks, is my story about diabetes. I will say now, this is going to be the first of a series of YouTube videos, but they're not going to be at regular times. It'll be as and when I get time to make some notes and actually get the video made. So apologies for the fact that it won't be as regular as you might necessarily expect. But then again, I sort of expect to get questions from people, which is quite likely to shove me in different directions with my talks on diabetes. So I look forward to hearing from people. If anyone out there is actually listening and watching this, you never know, there might be someone. Anyway, so what happened with me? Today I'm going to be talking about my experience, how I was diagnosed, and the immediate aftermath. Here goes. I learned I had diabetes because I had to go in to have a series of tests. Why? One of my brothers had developed a cancer. We discovered that this cancer can be hereditary, and so my other brother and I went in to get checked out. This was quite high on our list of priorities because the 4th brother, our very oldest brother, at the age of 70, suddenly got a particularly unpleasant cancer and it killed him back in 2020. So cancer is something that is at the back of our minds, even though what he had was not hereditary. It was nothing standard at all. It was a very peculiar and particularly aggressive cancer that took him away within a few days. Never mind that. So when we were told that another brother had a form of cancer and it could be hereditary, I went in, as did the other brother, and asked for some tests. The doctors were very accommodating and gave us tests almost immediately. Good. Did I have cancer? No, I did not. Went through all the tests, deeply unpleasant though they might be, and that was all fine. However, part of the process involved taking blood tests. And a couple of days later, might even have been the very next day, I was walking the dog in the nature reserve just up the road, very nice area there, and I was called by the GP surgery to say, very urgent, you must come in, we need to book an appointment for you. And I said, why? He said, don't worry, it's not cancer, you're perfectly all right on that. I said, good. He said, but we must see you urgently. I said, well, why? I said, well, don't like to talk about it over the phone, but you have got diabetes. And I said, you're joking, because I had absolutely no symptoms whatsoever that I was aware of. Now, what are the standard symptoms of diabetes? Let's look it up. Because I honestly can't remember. So, symptoms of diabetes. Here we go. These are the symptoms of diabetes as listed by cdc.gov, which Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which I assume is an American government site. And it says, if you have any of these diabetes symptoms, see your doctor about getting your blood sugar tested. The first is you urinate a lot, often at night. No, I didn't. You're very thirsty all the time. No. You lose weight without trying. Losing weight was something I'd wanted to do for a long time. Very hungry. Well, yes, I could be quite hungry, but that's basically because I've always been a bit greedy. Have blurry vision. Look, I'm blind without these. Have numb or tingling hands or feet. Now, I did have that. This hand in particular went very odd, went numb at first, started getting pins and needles towards the top of the last two fingers, and then it felt as though I'd burned all down the side here. That was not diabetes, though. That was, I had a trapped nerve here, called cubital tunnel syndrome, and it has been operated on. Not that you can see it, because the scar is so fabulously recovered that you can hardly tell. But that was a symptom, but wasn't diabetic. Feel very tired. Well, yes, if I've been working hard, but I tend to work 12 hours plus a day, and I don't take many weekends off because I have to write lots of words to write the books that I'm contracted for. Have very dry skin? No. Have sores that heal slowly? Well, I haven't had any sores, so no. Have more infections than usual? What's usual? I don't know. I don't think I've had any infections. So these are all symptoms of type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And it says here, symptoms of type 2 often take several years to develop. Some people don't notice any symptoms at all. Type 2 diabetes usually starts when you're an adult. Well, I think I can class myself as that. Although more and more children and teens are developing it. Because symptoms are hard to spot, it's important to know the risk factors for type 2 diabetes. Make sure to visit your doctor if you have any of them. Well, I would emphasise that if you have any of those symptoms, if they seem to be significant to you, then do go and get yourself tested. Here in the UK, testing for diabetes should be free of charge with your GP practice. It's an easy test. My GPs do all of these tests in-house. Testing how much sugar there is in your blood is not difficult. It's a test called the HbA1c test, and it measures, and I'm certainly going to get something wrong here, but effectively your red blood cells in your bloodstream fix glucose to their bodies. And when you want, you can test your blood and it will tell you what the average blood glucose level has been for the last 3 months, because the red blood cells last for 3 months and then they're discarded and your bone marrow replaces them. So every 3 months you can get a realistic check of what your blood sugars are doing. There are lots of other tests you can do as well. The finger prick test, I've got a little monitor thing here. There's lots of other tests you can do, and I'll be talking about them later. Not today, later. So, I discovered that I had diabetes. They did an HbA1c test that was conducted on me, and it was fine. And that's what led them to understand that I had diabetes. So, the HbA1c test, what can you tell from it? If it's up to about 40 units, and it's measured in mmols per mole or something like that, I don't know. But if it's up to about 40, then you're normal. Between 40 and 48, you are on the cusp of becoming type 2 diabetic. But you should be able to control it with diet only and not have any drugs. With my test, I was, I think I'm right in saying, the highest blood glucose person that my GP practice, with thousands and thousands of patients, had ever seen. I was 114. As I said, the safe level is about 40. I was 114. So it was quite clear when I went in to see Mark, the delightful diabetic nurse, that I was going to need to have some sort of intervention, and his immediate recommendation was a box of pills, and I would go on one a day for a week. Then I'd up it to one every morning, one every evening for a week, and then I'd up it to 2 in the morning, 1 in the evening for a week, and then I would have 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. The implication being for life. That was it. Well, I am not someone who believes in taking risks. I will go through all of the different types of damage that have been done to my body due to diabetes, because when I saw the ophthalmic surgeon, I was told I must have had it for at least 10 years. The damage was significant to my eyes. I've had damage done to the nerve endings in my feet as well. This is not a nice disease, even though it creeps up insidiously, because, as I said, I did not know I had any symptoms whatsoever. So I'll be talking about those things in future videos. The main thing, though, that I would like you to take away from this first one is, in less than a year and a half, I have gone from 114 HbA1c with 4 drugs a day. In the first year, by controlling my diet and nothing else, I managed to bring that down to 42 in the HbA1c. And in the last month, so over the space of the full 18 months, I am now down to normal, and I've had to give up all the drugs. It may well be that I'm wrong and I have to start going back on some of the drugs in a few weeks, but as it stands right now, my blood glucose levels are that of a normal healthy person. So it can be done. And if you discover that you've got type 2 diabetes, then this possibly is something you need to consider. Now, that's me whittering on for nearly a quarter of an hour, and that's easily long enough. So I'll leave you in peace. Next time, when I come back, I'm going to be talking a bit more about the damage that has been done to me, I think. And then from there, I'm going to talk about how I managed to control things, what I've been doing to maintain the control, and where things seem to be going for now, which hopefully will be of interest to some people. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, do please drop a note at the bottom here or get in touch with me. And in the meantime, thanks ever so much for your attention. I hope it hasn't been too tedious, and I'll be back in a week or so. Thanks very much. Take care. Goodbye.